Energy. It is all around us, both seen and unseen. It affects all the lives within humanity, our great planet Earth, and the entire universe. It is a conscious cosmic matrix, an ever-evolving cycle, creating, breaking down, and recreating. This is Connected with your host, Andrea Dragonfly. Andrea tells us that energy is the foundation of our human experience, intrinsically affecting every facet of our lives, our perceptions, choices, and actions, as well as the challenges, opportunities, and people we attract. So now, please welcome the host of Connected, Andrea Dragonfly.
Hey, good people of the world. Welcome. This is the next episode on Connected. I am your host, Andrea Dragonfly. We are going to talk about a very special event that's taking place on Monday. It's a celestial event, which is the total solar eclipse supermoon in Aries. This is a pretty big deal for all of us around the globe. So I thought that I would go ahead and bring it into today's session, today's show, because there's going to be a lot of intense energy that comes with this eclipse. And to get us started, I just want to also say that this is a supermoon, and a supermoon is it's a moon where the orbit is closer to the Earth, so we're going to feel it even more powerfully than if it weren't a supermoon. However, also the whole month of April has some pretty powerful energetics that are lined up that are actually going to shift and change the way that we all are interacting on this great, beautiful planet Earth. So I thought it was very appropriate for us to bring this in for tonight's show. So, first of all, I want to remind everybody that this is a live show. And so, if there's any questions about how this information can actually apply to you, or questions about anything that has to do with a solar eclipse, the new moon, and any of the energetics that I'm going to be weaving into it from the previous shows, this is the time to call in, ask these questions. The number is listed down below, and it's a great way for us to interact and even get your own kind of feel into how you can use this energy for you. Of course, we'll be talking all about that as well. So, for the total solar eclipse, this is probably one of the most kind of energetic, big events that are happening throughout this year. With eclipses, we usually can feel an eclipse for about 6 months, usually until the next eclipse cycle happens. And so eclipse cycles usually happen every 6 months. And we started off with having a eclipse with the lunar eclipse on March 25th. And that was where the full moon, of course, had what was called a penumbral eclipse, where maybe you didn't notice it as much because actually the way that that eclipse worked is that the moon was in the Earth's shadow. And so there was actually a shadow cast upon the moon. It just didn't fully cover it in the way that we're used to seeing a full moon eclipse. That one was all about relationships, about the power of our relationships. And so it was also something that we are currently in right now. That too is going to play out for the next 6 months. It's not going to be as strong as this one. Therefore, today is what we're going to be talking about, the power of the new moon solar eclipse. So when we think about new moons, and not everybody knows this, but a new moon is when we don't see the moon in the sky, because the moon is traveling with the sun, kind of right along with it. And therefore, we get these 3 nights of darkness, and then we start to see the crescents begin to shine after that process. And it's really that middle night of the 3 days that This is where the moon and the sun are passing and along with each other. And so it's a powerful time for new beginnings. With new moon energy, we can actually use this energy to work with us for what it is that we deeply want for ourselves. Now, I'm going to go ahead and further episodes, I'm going to specifically dedicate a show specifically to working with the new moon. And I'm also going to specifically designate a show for the full moon because these are these unseen energies that we don't know necessarily how we can work with them. Now, I do know that this audience is very diverse and that there's some people that have never even thought or considered about working with moon energy. And there's others of you that have been working with moon energy for a long time. This is about creating relationships. Again, in the very first episode, I said the show is really about creating relationships. And reviewing the first 4 episodes, it's really about connecting into ourselves and deepening our relationship within ourselves. Now, with the moons and working with these eclipses, it's a perfect time to begin to bring in how is this moon going to affect me? And not just me, but pretty much everybody. Because the moon energy has a power in it. It's very much like a pressurizing. And the planets are all aligning in different ways, and each planet has a very significant kind of energy and how it works with us. I'm not going to go into specifically talking about all the planets and how they work. That's a different show, that's the show in astrology, which we will definitely have. And I'll even bring in an astrologist. I am not an astrologist. However, I have been studying my chart. I've been studying astrology just, on the side for over 30 years, tracking it, noticing it, working with it. And of course, over the trajectory of my life and the work that I have done, working with several different wisdom traditions, elders, working with people from all sorts of different walks of life of how to use energy, working with energy, that this is a very powerful way that we can use this for our empowerment. It's about expanding that consciousness. And this solar eclipse is very much about expanding consciousness. It's specific to that event. So it's going to be a very powerful energetic. And so these are the energies that come and they work us. And we don't know that we're necessarily being worked by them if we're not following the planetary alignment and the seasons of, the season of the year. So when we're not connected to what's happening in the energetic world around us, we can easily go through life and feel uncomfortable, feel these different experiences that says, hey, you know what, I'm feeling off, feeling odd. I'm feeling like there's something agitating me. I don't really know what it is. And oftentimes it's these planetary movements that are playing out and doing powerful energetics on us that are working us from the inside out. So when we look at this new moon is actually in Aries. And Aries is the first zodiac of the system, of the zodiacal calendar. And it is very much about the I am. It's an I am power that is connected into us recognizing that we are coming in to the whole zodiac, and we're going to have this adventure. It's kind of the way that the zodiac is set up. Each one brings us into these different, deeper connected points of our experience to the world. But the I am energy within Aries is also fiery. It can also be connected to drive, being focused, and oftentimes it's referred to as an energetic that can even be kind of conflict oriented. If we think about Aries, the god, and how, god of war and whatnot. And so this is the way that we're actually putting what we want in the I want this out into the world. And so we're going to be using this energy for this time as we are moving in to this very powerful year. 2024 is going to have some very significant shifts and changes. And it starts with these planetary movements, these events that happen, that we're going to be moving in to major change within our culture all over the world. All cultures are moving through shifts and changes as the world is beginning to get more complicated. And there's so much to this that is going to be presented. And so we're going to be feeling uncomfortable. So there's this uncomfortable energy. Now, the unique part of this is that there is an asteroid that is also traveling with the sun and the moon at the same time. And that asteroid is known as Chiron. And Chiron is known as the wounded healer. This is an energetic that comes throughout our lives. Like when we're born, we come into our experience, and there's usually some sort of wound that we might carry. We might accrue this wound in childhood. We might get it maybe later on in adolescence and our teen years. And we might even have brought this wound in from a past life. And we're going to talk about past lives in another show soon, because they play a powerful role in how we perceive and see and experience the world. Well, the Chiron event that is happening with the new moon and the total solar eclipse is happening exactly at the same time. And so around, especially in North America, because I want to speak to North America in particularly. So I believe it's 2:20 Eastern time on Monday, which is then 12:20 Mountain time, which is where I'm from, and then 11:20 Pacific time. And it's right at that moment that the sun and the moon will begin the eclipse. Now, please forgive me. I don't know exactly the time because I know it will take a period of time. And I believe that this eclipse is going to take maybe 4 minutes in totality. But of course, the whole process getting to the totality point, does take a little extra time in that. Right around, if it's 2:20 Eastern time, about 2:28 is when Chiron conjoins with the sun. And this is the moment where we can powerfully work with that wound that we've been carrying throughout our life, that wound that in some way has prevented us from truly getting what we deeply have wanted, no matter where you are in your life and in your life cycle, right? So this wound could be a wound of betrayal. That betrayal could have come in childhood from your parents, maybe betrayed by your mother for not standing up for you, or betrayed by your father in some way, or an abandonment wound. It could also, and of course, we can have that happen to us, when we are teenagers, when we're in our early part of our 20s and into our 30s. Sometimes this will show up within our personal relationships, our marriages. And oftentimes they might even create patterns where they'll happen in different ways over and over again. And so this is where we're looking at, how do I look at this wound? What is this wound that I've been carrying? Because this is an opportune time for us to take this wound and really go in looking at this. That Aries energy, even though it has that warrior energy to it, is also a time of deep introspection, of like going in and recognizing, who am I in my I am? What am I not getting at this point? So we're going to look into how this beautiful opportunity is being presented to us at this time for us to look at our lives and see, how do I want to move myself forward? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. And we get back in, we're going to jump in and explore this even further. I'll see you in 2.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Your Full Potential, Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. So today we're talking about the total solar eclipse in Aries, and how the powerful effects are going to be playing out throughout ourselves, the people that we know, and humanity. Now, again, I mentioned how this is usually about 6 months, but this is a very powerful eclipse. And it's being said that this is going to last even into 2025, around February of 2025. So this is an opportunity for us to take a look at what is going on within ourselves at this time. With the new moon, it's the time of darkness. It's a time for us to go inside and look within us as to what is actually happening within my own energy field. In the world that we live in, we live very busy lives, and we don't always get the time for reflection. Oftentimes, again, we get home, we go through our routine, we eat our meals, maybe we sit down and watch TV, maybe we hang out with people, whatever it is, but not often does everybody have the opportunity to go inside and reflect. But our moons do this for us every 28 days. We get the new moon that says, time to reflect. Reflect on what's happened in this last month, even. We can really, again, use these energies for us to grow ourselves consciously. This is the conscious relationship, building a conscious relationship with ourselves. We can either do this in partnership with our partners, where we are wanting our direction of our partnership to go and to deepen. So it's not always just about an individual journey. Of course it is, but it can also be a journey of partnership and a journey within your own collective energy and the work that you're doing with the world. So, perfect time for us to go in and reflect. Now, again, coming back to the Chiron. Chiron is also, it's an asteroid, but it also comes with this mythology. And the mythology is of the wounded healer, which is also, to get into that mythology, it's a centaur. And the centaur was wounded by a poisoned arrow. And even though the centaur was able, Chiron was the name of the centaur, was able to pull that arrow out, that wound was never able to really heal properly. Now, also, Chiron was abandoned and had been abandoned by its family, its tribe, its people, its centaurs. And so it also was carrying this wound of abandonment. And it met Apollo, one of the great gods, and Apollo adopted Chiron and brought Chiron onto the path of healing. brought Chiron into this place of being able to find beauty in the world, even with the wounds that Chiron was carrying, and being able to heal those wounds. And of course, with the adoption of Apollo, Apollo brought Chiron into this, into the world of the arts, of the healing arts, alchemy, music, poetry. And Chiron was able to work with all of these different methods, completely opening up Chiron's relationship to nature and beauty of nature, and how nature also is a very powerful element of our healing. And so this is also an invitation for us as we're working through this total solar eclipse and how our own inner wound is going to get activated. How do we then work with it so that we can ease it, heal it, bring it into a new place, transform it, so that we can even overcome it and be empowered? Now, with the wounded healer, and especially with the medicine people, it's usually the wound that we carry for the longest time that we kind of came in. We call it the original wound. And it's this wound that when we work with it and overcome it, we can turn it into our greatest ally, our greatest medicine, our greatest tool in our toolkit. This is what we're able to share and show to the world and say, I walked through this journey. This is how it was for me. It may not be the exact same way for you, but I know this journey and I can bring it to you to offer it as a path forward for you to heal your wounds along the way. And so, looking at our wounds, looking at how do we even acknowledge them, right? Because oftentimes we are too busy to even recognize when they're playing out. Or we know that we get reactive. We know that there's a time within a certain experience. Usually it's an interaction, and somebody does something that can trigger us, and then that can put us into that place of a heightened state of frustration, of anger, of victimization. And so looking at a couple of shows ago, I brought in some tools. I brought in the 6 factors of energy that live behind every interaction. Because at this point, whomever you're interacting with is going to have some potential energies that are playing out behind the scenes that you do not know are operating. Excuse me. We don't always know what these are. These are what we don't know that I talked about in a previous show as well. So these, again, just to rename, they are the 6 factors of energy that can live within the physical energy body that says, oh, there's something wrong with me physically. Like I have a sore neck or backache or something that has to do with my physical body that is distracting me from really being present with you. Or it can be emotional. A person who's going through an emotional period where they're not fully focused. They can't do the task as well as they could because they're preoccupied in this emotional state. It also is a mental, which is the third. So if you're thinking about something else, thinking about, oh, I have to pay that bill, or this is coming and I need to prepare for myself, whatever it is, it takes us away from really being connected to one another because there's something operating behind the scenes. There's also the social factor. And the social factor could be something about, it could even be an ex, in your relationship with your partner, it could be an ex-wife or ex-husband, it could be an ex-lover, it could be a scenario where you felt not included, so there's that social factor that can create that wound, activate that wound. It doesn't create the wound, but it activates that wound that lives within us. And then there's the environmental factor. And the environmental factor is those factors that are completely outside of ourselves that we have no control over. The weather, the lighting, the temperature of the room. Well, work with the temperature of the room by turning the heat up or down. However, it's those environmental factors. Maybe you're staying at a hotel and it's the way that the bed is or whatever, right? So it's the environment in which we are, experiencing that can create an irritation to us, the lighting. And then there's the spiritual factor. And that spiritual factor is that part of us that's not living what we deeply feel inside of us. Usually it's that passion, it's that drive. It's like, oh, I'm not working the job that fulfills me. I need a new job. Or I'm not really I'm not being seen in the way that I want to be seen, with the gifts that I have and that I'm bringing to the world. And so that's that spiritual energetic that plays behind that. I also offered this tool. It was a diagram of these 7 levels of energy. And I'm bringing all this together because these are the energetic factors that live within us that we're not always paying attention to. We don't necessarily recognize how they're playing out within us so that when we're interacting with others, how are we showing up to them? And what I love about it, it helps me understand how they're showing up to me. So whether we're interacting with our significant people in our lives, partners, children, family members, or our community, or our colleagues in the workforce, or just, any one of the peoples that are in our lives where there's something that doesn't feel right, we're going to be able to recognize it through these tools. And again, with this Chiron energy, we're going to be feeling it. And it's an opportunity for us to transform it. So it's really about looking at, where does this live within me? And the 7 levels of energy, the 7-level energy perception chart. And I have this on my website, so you can go back and refer to it there. This is an opportunity where we look to see, where do I fall into that victim energy? That victim energy is that lowest energy. And it's not that we're all victims in our lives, but we all fall into victim energy when life is challenging and we are at the effect of it. Ugh, I don't know what to do here. I just need space. I just want to sleep. I can't deal with this right now. That's that victim energy. And then that next level of energy is that anger energy, that conflict energy that says, hey, something's got to change here because I don't like the way that this is. And so we can move in from the lowest energy of at the effect, I can do nothing, to action. I'm going to do something about this. And then that level 3 energy is that problem solving energy. It's also that place of forgiveness. I forgive you for doing what you're doing. I know you probably don't mean it because of all these factors that are playing out behind. I'm going to do my thing. You do your thing. We're going to get our lives, and our tasks completed. You do you, I do me. Let's just, find a way to get through this, or using some of the problem solving techniques that maybe you know. And then there's that place of service. So this is level 4. Level 3 is problem solving. Level 4 is that service place of, I can give to you because I have that energy to give. And by giving to you, it helps you. Let me help you. So whether we're in service within our own jobs, many of us are in service as an energy healer, working with numerous, wisdom elders and wisdom tradition healers. This is what we do. Let me help you heal. Let me help you heal that wound through all the different modalities that we have. So this is the opportunity for us to look to see, where do I fall into that place of being at the effect? Because we're going to use this energy of this solar eclipse, and we're going to offer that energy up. And I'm going to talk about this in this next segment. Now, this next segment is the open call segment. The number is below. You can call in. You can ask questions as to, how do I identify this? Can you clarify something? I don't understand a certain thing as to what you said. So anything, bring it. We can talk about that. But I'm also going to look at how we can take these energies of when we're not living our greatest self, our greatest potential, and how we can use this energy to our advantage so that we can actually overcome and heal these wounds in the now. Now, we are also going to take another quick break, another 2-minute break. And so when we get back from that break, please, I would love to hear from you. And if you choose, if you're going to call, I would love to receive that call. What I do know is that if you can mute the device that you're on, so if you're watching it on your computer, if you're watching this on the television, if you can just mute the show from there, there won't be any extra feedback when the call time comes. So I look forward to seeing and talking with you possibly in the next, when we get back from this commercial. Thank you.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. So we're looking at the wounds. We're looking at what is it that we've been carrying with us throughout our lives. How can we use this perfect time? Because the world is changing, we are supported by these amazing energetics all around us. And this planetary event is really about moving us forward exponentially in our healing. As an energy healer and worker, what I know is that when we want to heal ourselves and we come consciously into recognizing that this no longer works for me and I want to do something different, then all of these energetics that are surrounding us, and there's so many wonderful energies, beings of light who are here to support us in our healing journey, that when we're ready for this, they will help and show up and work with us to make that happen. Now, the piece about this is that each person is their own healer. You are your healer. And as an energy healer, I am the guide. I help facilitate your healing. And for this solar eclipse, the celestial beings is what, they're here helping us facilitate our own healing. They're like, here, I'm bringing this event. This is an opportunity if you're aware of it. This is why Connected is all about bringing us into awareness, expanding our consciousness. We may not know that we have the opportunity to do these things and that it's coming to us on a very powerful energetic. And so with this, we can use that. We can look at what is that that pattern that I've been carrying with me, because this is the time of breaking those patterns. And so it's that wound that actually has created the pattern, giving us opportunity over and over again to recognize it. How does it show up in me? How does it disempower me? Does it, does it disconnect me from being more intimate with the people that are close to me? And there's a lot of levels of intimacy. So even so, like, does it prevent me from having a deeper connected relationship with my children, with my partner, with my family members? So how can I overcome this wound so that I do have a breakthrough? I can break this pattern and move it into a whole new way that allows me to have that very peace that I've been wanting my whole life. And so, again, we are given these opportunities, and we're given a huge celestial event opportunity to really look at this one. Because usually the pattern will show up, and the pattern gives you opportunity after opportunity. Every time you feel disempowered about that energy that shows up, and again, I'm talking about abandonment wound, I'm talking about the betrayal wound, I'm talking about the I'm not good enough wound, I'm talking about that I'm not lovable. There are so many different types of wounds of not being able to get what you desire, not being able to be seen or received for who you really are. So, look at where that does show up in your life. And here's the thing, everybody has one. To be human, we come in with obstacles to overcome. So it's one of those obstacles, usually our greatest one, that we're here to overcome so that we don't have to carry it forward, so that we can liberate ourselves from it. So we create our reality. We are moving from this place that says, and this is kind of tying all of the different shows that I've had so far into bringing into this very real experience of how do we use this energy. Because the way we see the world, again, if we see the world where the glass is half empty, because life has been challenging. Life has been difficult. I've always gotten, the short end of the stick. I've never been chosen for that top-notch job or the promotion, or even in my relationships, I can't seem to get over that issue that connects me more deeply with the people that I love. However that works for you. So it's like, how do I break this pattern and move myself into a different direction? And so with this new moon energy, whenever we work with moon energy, I invite you to find it within yourself. What do you want to change? And then also see within yourself. So when I say see, this is like an inner vision. If you can like close your eyes and connect into yourself and say, what would my life be like if I didn't have this pattern playing out? Oh, I could have deeper relationships with the people that I love. Oh, I wouldn't be afraid to show up in this way if the wound has to deal with being received or being good enough, right? I don't have to be upset or angry or insecure in my relationship with my significant other if I can let go and heal that abandonment wound or heal the betrayal wound. And the betrayal wound can be through our friends, our family, not just our significant partners, but our best friend, right? So if I heal this, I can trust more. I can be more intimately involved. I can be more expressed. I can have more love in my heart, more acceptance, more generosity and kindness. I can be, in an elevated state of joy. So how can I do this? So looking at using the full moon, we're using the new moon, because the new moon, again, is about beginnings, healing this wound into a new beginning of your life where you're living powerfully without this wound weighing you down. So first of all, and I'm going to talk more in depthly about this again when we do the new moon, full moon shows, but for this time, it's find it within yourself and say, I want to release this. I want to give this up. I want to surrender this. And I want to replace it with that feeling of what it would be like for me if I were living fully empowered without that wound. We got to feel that. We got to kind of feel it in our energy body. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to be connected on a whole nother level that you've never been connected before? And so usually working with the moon energies, we can bring it to the conscious cosmos. We all have these allies that we don't even know that we have, but we don't know that we don't know. And I'm going to be definitely really exploring those as well. But because this is a show that is necessary right before this great event, I'm just bringing it out as a opportunity that even if you don't know that you're connected to these energies, these allies of support, these conscious energies that are all around us, I invite you to try it. Say, I'm offering this old wound that's holding me back, and I want to replace it with this sense of empowerment. And if you can even name what that sense of empowerment is. So let's say there is a betrayal wound, right? And it's just like, I've been betrayed throughout my life, and it has affected me in my ability to trust that I'm going to be okay, to trust that life is going to be good for me, to trust that there actually is some greater design that I was given this opportunity of betrayal to overcome. Because every time we have some sort of disempowerment, some sort of wound, and when we can overcome it, there's a very powerful gift, a gift of revelation of like, oh my goodness, I feel trust. I feel like I can trust the design of my life. I feel like I needed to overcome this betrayal wound and know that I have everything I need inside of me, that I am good, and that there is something greater happening that I don't know that I don't know, but I actually feel solid. I feel confident. I feel that I can forgive those people who have wounded me. Because oftentimes if we have betrayal, multiple people will betray us if that's part of what we came in here to learn. So we've had betrayal over, oh, maybe my parent betrayed me. Oh, maybe my, ex-boyfriend betrayed me. Maybe my husband betrayed me. Maybe my best friend betrayed me in some way. Maybe my daughter betrayed me in some way. And so it's about really learning about forgiveness. How do we forgive those people that have hurt us? And so this is this opportunity for our greater growth. To really be connected into the world is to know that we're going to face these challenges, these adversities. But who are we going to be on the other side of it? Do I want to be stuck in anger and resentment towards those people for the rest of this life? Or do I actually want to step into the place of uncomfortability? See if I can get that word out of my mouth. That place of really being uncomfortable and saying, oh, this is stretching me. This is growing me. Because unconditional love, compassion, and forgiveness are some of the most highest energies and qualities that we can actually attain in this lifetime that will bring immeasurable rewards. It'll show us open doors to connection on a whole nother level. It's because we're willing to step into that place of uncomfortability. We're willing to actually look at, what do I need to do within myself to shift this. Because what I know is that the way that I operate regularly, the old pattern of how I see this, I'm angry, my ego is hurt and wounded, and I cannot forgive you. Well, we're going to stay in that energy of I'm hurt and wounded for the rest of our lives unless we choose a different choice. And this is what this eclipse moon is all about. Choosing a different choice, recognizing the wound within us, that Chiron wound. This is an opportunity for us to grow ourselves exponentially in connection, in trust, in peace. Because if we can find that unconditional love, we can connect into the compassion. Because every human being is doing whatever they're doing. We don't understand what they're doing, but they're doing something. And what they're doing is that they're growing themselves through cause and effect, through trying different things, through the ego wanting. I'm going to talk a lot about the ego at some point, but the ego wanting for me, I want this for me, and I want like immediate gratification. We do these things for immediate gratification that end up hurting other people. And we don't necessarily know why they did that. But they're doing that because they're learning. They're learning about how to use the energetics of, I guess we can call it like good and bad, right? And of course, helpful and unhelpful. People learn by their mistakes, so people have to fail. They have to come into these places of life where they don't do it right, or they make that choice that was immediate gratification and self-serving and wounded a lot of other people. And then they had to reflect on that. Unless they're a sociopath, then they're not going to reflect on that. But if they aren't one, then they're going to recognize that there is an opportunity for me to stretch and grow and make a different choice the next time around. This is how we grow ourselves step by step. Sometimes they're baby steps. Sometimes they're huge leaps and bounds. And again, this solar eclipse supermoon is a huge leap and bound being offered to us at this time. So I invite you to really look into yourself. What is that wound? So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take that last commercial break before we end tonight's show. And I invite you to walk with me as we finalize the end of this, because we're going to dive into that. We're going to take a little journey inside and see what we can find. I'll see you back here in 2.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical. Mike Zorich, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor.
Nancy Zorick, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorick has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Welcome back. So we're going to use the rest of this time together and we're going to get connected. So I invite you to actually close your eyes and bring your awareness inward. And so those who have meditation practices may know this very well. Those who don't have meditation practices, do your best. There's no right or wrong here. But just kind of sinking into yourself. I invite you to take 2 regulatory breaths because this begins to shift our energy. So really nice, deep inhales through our nose and a long exhale. We're resetting our energy here. So it's important that when we do this, we really just let it sink. We're shifting from all the energy of our day. We're coming into ourselves. And with our eyes closed, we can really connect a little deeper within ourselves. So I invite you to explore who you are within your original wound. If you can think about where in your life have you been at the effect of an energetic that has prevented you from really getting what you deeply want. And even if you've done a lot of work in your life, there's other wounds that are present that we're still here clearing. These might even be some wounds that you thought you might have already healed, but through a certain interaction, you might get triggered and that may come back out again. And you're like, ooh, there's that old wound of mine, right? And I want you to invite you to track that wound. How often has that shown up for you? There's going to be different scenarios. Different people can trigger that within you because this is your dominant wound. So we're just going to give you a moment to track it throughout your life, however old you are. And see if you can track it to the earliest memory. And as you're tracking this wound, it's almost as if you're picking up the pieces of each one of these moments that you can remember were, let's say, a photograph of that specific situation. And if you can bring each one of those photographs into your energy hand, because we're working in the energy field right now. Until you've collected all of them. And you may have more, and this amount of time that we have may not provide all the opportunities. So take this further after tonight's show. Bring it deeper into exploration. I want you to see these photographs within your mind's eye. We call this sacred imagination. Bringing it into your hands and recognizing what this is. And this, again, this could be some area of disappointment, some area of disempowerment. And then feel what it would be like. I mentioned this before, but now's the time to actually play with it. What would it be like if that did not exist in your energy field? What might it feel like? And you may not know what that feels like, but imagine that. What could it feel like? Play with that a little bit. Play with it throughout your whole body. What does it do to your body? What if you never really deeply knew love or was connected in love? What would love feel like throughout your whole body? Or whatever that is. Because it's these moments of inviting it in, of feeling it, even if you don't know what it really feels like. We can ask, help me know what this feels like. To the conscious energy all around me, help me understand this in a whole new way. And with these photographs, this is where we can offer these photographs up in our healing. These photographs that are on the energetic plane represent that moment in time of disempowerment. And that we're offering it up to the conscious energy around us, saying, I am ready to let these go. I am ready to heal this wound once and for all. And within your sacred imagination, you can even see maybe burning them. Oftentimes we can put those photographs that we don't want anymore in the fire, right? So instead of throwing them in the trash, let's just burn them. So within your sacred imagination, see yourself burning them and them going up into smoke, and that smoke going up into the cosmos, going up into the process of your healing. And this is also something that is going to take a little time. You're not immediately going to feel the effects of, oh my God, I'm fully healed. Actually, within the astrology, it's going to take about a year. But it's this process that begins the whole process of our healing. And it starts with our awareness. And it starts about being connected to that this is even possible for us. And so I invite you to do this now, do this before Monday. We're at the very end of our time together. But take this forward, play with this. And in the meantime, go to YouTube, find some astrology that's all about the solar eclipse and learn a little bit more about how you can use this energy for your greatest good in your healing. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to be with you tonight. And I love talking about this. And so stay connected to yourself, connect into all the things around you. And I look forward to talking with you again next week. Go in peace.
This has been Connected with your host, Andrea Dragonfly. Join Andrea each week on an extraordinary journey, exploring the consciousness of energy and how you are connected. Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.